on that is no longer ongoing. So all the new development work will be going into the 2018 editor pack as a result of the fact that to take advantage of some new features in Unity and some general upgrades that just simply weren't going to be possible to put into the 2017 viewer. Or 2017 editor, I should say. The viewer is a different story, but the 2017 editor will continue to upload correctly with the editor packs that exist. But if you go to the nightly channel now, you'll see that there's only a 2018.4 editor pack available, and that's not going to change. Hey, Adam.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hi, Adam.
Your mic sensitivity might be turned up a little bit. You're just a little bit peaky.
Yeah, wow, that was like really loud.
That was a bit. Rob says the same in chat. I think it just woke him up. Yeah.
How am I now?
That's better.
Much better.
Much better.
Guys, I have a question. Is there any progress on this spatial thing that you can shut it down, or that you can put it in that it levels out the sound a bit? Because I personally don't like it.
Right. So there's no spatial in this region right now, but I assume you mean other regions. Yeah, we haven't actually implemented the interface for turning that off on an individual level. It's actually would probably be a hard thing to do, just in terms of probably would put that control like in the voice box button, the mixer button that we have now. Adam, is that something that we want to prioritize in the near future?
Yeah, it probably makes sense to do.
It's probably just a very simple toggle button to just simply say ignore the spatial settings of the area you're in. It could be messy in terms of like some of the whole idea of spatial is that you might have a region with 40, 50, 100 people in it, and if you have spatial turned off, you might be hearing 60 people talk at one time, and it would just be chaos. So I don't know that you'd always want to have it off, but having a button to turn it off for the session might be useful.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably something that we need to tweak the defaults as well.
Yeah, I think the defaults right now are 16 meters. I
feel like that's too small.
Yeah, we could turn that up for the main grid specifically if we wanted to.
That's actually a change I can do right now, so I'm going to make it.
I don't know, maybe double it to 32 or something. For some events, that would just be absolute chaos, but those events can turn it down for themselves if they want.
There was, Josh Seidam here, a second feature discussed request, not a bug, that in addition to being able to turn global sound off and on, or spatial off and on, you pick, being able to listen from avatar position versus listen from camera position would be very useful for videographer effects especially. Over.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's a little bit complicated, but not undoable. The way Unity does it, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the audio listener is attached to the avatar right now, or is it attached to the camera?
Well, in the case of Vivox, until Eric has done his work actually ripping the spatialization data out, it's actually independent. However,
because we are currently doing the spatial calculations from the avatar, though. We could switch it over to just passing in the camera position if we wanted to.
Yeah, for the normal audio, it's based on it's either the avatar position if your camera is in the default camera, but if you are using camera fly mode or something else, then the audio position is the camera instead of the player.
So we'll actually sort of naturally get that benefit once the current Vivox update is done, because it will follow the same rules, given that we're putting it in the engine, right?
Yeah, it should, and I'll actually be really happy once we do that, because it's going to mean, one, all the other Unity audio effects and things can be applied to voice. So if you're putting in reverb zones and stuff, that will actually finally impact your voice. But the other thing is that it solves so many issues with audio routing.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. Do we have an ETA on that? I know we don't like to put dates on things, but can you give us a percentage of how much work is done on that?
Well, it's funny. It's actually one of those things that's going to go from 0 to 100% overnight as soon as you can get the Vivox SDK wrapper done. It's a long story short, but to do this, we're using some undocumented Vivox features. So we're sort of having to discover how they work as we go. But at some point, he's going to crack
ask
it.
them a lot of questions along the way.
Yeah. Well, I asked him a lot of questions. I started that damn project like a month ago. Now Eric's got it, and he gets to follow up on all the sport tickets.
Yeah, lucky Eric.
Yeah, I was going to have to buy him a drink at the end of that one.
Maybe a couple. Speaking of updates, we all know how terribly unbusy you are. But I was just encouraging everyone here that they should complain to you about how bad the animations are in this region.
That's an excellent question. Yes, these animations are absolutely rubbish.
This region hasn't been updated in quite a while.
I think I'm not going to talk about how long it's been since I last updated this region, but yes, the animations were the first ones I found, and I was anticipating replacing them at some point. Funny how that goes.
Yeah, the audience seats aren't as bad as the presenter seats. The presenter seats are horrible. So put that on your to-do list someplace, or you could dump the region into our file share, and somebody else could take a stab at it.
So it's Sidearm here again. Is my mic okay now, Les? Because I have a question.
Much better.
Oh, good. Les, you're too loud. Could you? Never mind. So here's 2 days ago, I was working with a professional colleague. I said, I want to show you the Breakroom demo area. Please download the Breakroom viewer from the Breakroom website. That worked swimmingly, by the way. Kudos. The Windows viewer is 82. The Mac viewer is 82. That all worked great. So we met at the Breakroom demo area, the default, and we're chugging around. And then I went into shop to try to show him what he could get. And I discovered that some things in the Breakroom demo viewer were there, like Ab Animations, which are some of my favorite dances, and then Monks, which are some of my favorite stuff. Mm-hmm. My question is, when my client hopefully buys his own white label standalone grid, what will come with the shop? How does a maker get included on the shop for private white label grids? Because to me, that would be a wonderful way for them to... What?
Yeah, the maker doesn't make that choice. The grid owner makes that choice. The grid, it's really kind of whatever the grid owner wants. Like the grid owner can come to us and say, I do want this particular person's stuff or not that particular stuff. Usually, though, it's defined by genre. So like they may come to us and say, I want smart casual stuff or I want beachwear. And so we will include into their store items that, are appropriate for the theme they're going for.
So here's my point. How do I, a maker, apply to you, Sinewave Entertainment, to have my shop be featured as something offered to white label private grid owners? Is there
just
a form
build the
I fill
content
out?
to match those standards. The review team is adding the tags to the item when they're doing their reviews.
Yeah, it's a tagging process. So when they look at it, they go like, this is a high quality item. It works well. It fits a particular theme, so it gets tagged as being part of that theme. And like if it's business casual, then when they approve it, they mark it as business casual. And any white label grid owner who says, I want my region to only show business casual stuff, it'll show up there. If there's a particular item that you think, like maybe it's something that was reviewed a long time ago or whatever, and you think, oh, this really should fit the bill, you can bring it up with us, open a support ticket or whatever, and we can.
So we would have to file a support ticket to say, please include my brand new men's casual business attire outfit.
No, it should be picked up automatically. You'd only file a support ticket if it's not in there.
How do I know? How do I know if it's been picked up?
It's not guaranteed either. Like you can say, hey, can you include this in the, in that tag? But we may look at it and say, that's not really what we're going for. And so just by asking to include it doesn't mean it's automatically going to go in there.
How would we know if you did it or not? I mean, this is important to makers. You're going to be selling a lot of white label grids, much more than you're going to get a lot of main grid users for the next few months. How do I attract my makers?
do we surface those tags in the store anywhere, Adam? I don't think we currently do. Do we
no,
want
but
to?
we could add them to the website. We could actually indicate
Yeah.
on the items on the website, because that's probably an easier change to make than doing a whole viewer update, because we can surface the tags there.
Yeah, it might be worth surfacing what a particular item has been tagged as.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah, that's
mean anything
probably doable.
for main grid users, but if it's some subtext someplace that oh, if you want to see if this is what this is tagged as, go look here. Then I guess it can't hurt to have that information.
It would help a lot, actually.
That
I
or
have
give
a
away
follow-up
this,
question, if I could.
Sure, one second. I was just gonna say the other option is to add that as a filter option to the store, so you can simply filter by business casual or whatever and see what comes up.
Yeah, that might be doable. We'd have to check with Alan, because that's all back-end stuff, which is out of both of our domains.
I'm
Yeah,
yielding the
yeah,
mic to Galen.
Yeah, that's fine. What's up, Galen?
Oh, I think you just answered my question, Adam. My question was, when we are making something, let's say that I make a suit or a tailored pair of pants or something of that nature, is there a way for me to add certain tags to it? I know that there's been discussion around it, but I've never really been clear on if we as creators can do that ourselves and where to do it and how to do it.
No, not for this purpose. For the purposes of what shows up on a white label grid, that's a tag that we add. We don't want.
Okay.
Again, this is something that it's down to the white label grid owner. So the white label grid owner has to be able to say, yes, I'm happy. I approve with these items that are showing up in my shop. And if anything can show up in their shop at any time without their approval, that becomes a problem. So it's really it's a vetting process that we have to have a hand in.
So really, we don't have any choice whether it's white label or not.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
Realistically, it is up to the grid owner what shows up on their grid, not the creators. That's just the nature of they're paying for the grid. They set the tone and the theme of the grid. They get to decide what content shows up there. So it's not even entirely up to us. Like we handle that vetting process for them, because we don't want them to have to go through the millions of content items in the store. But ultimately, we say, here's the selection of items. These meet your criteria, and then if there's anything aberrant there, then we can move it out, and then they can know that they're getting a consistent selection.
And I'll add one follow-up there, is that obviously as we're beginning to start actually adding tags to the store, that's something we've been meaning to do. Once we start doing that, then we'll actually sort of begin to retag everything with probably a lot more tags. And we can probably expose those on the main grid too. So when people want to set up things for roleplay or whatever, it's easy to show.
I'm taking the ball back from Foxsci for a minute here. So Josh, did I understand you to say that there are currently 1 million items in the shop already?
There's millions of items in the store. Yeah. Obviously, not all of them are clothing. Clothing is only a subset of that. But if you look at everything that's on the store, regions, furniture, clothing, all of that. Yeah, we have.
There's a goddamn ton of furniture.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
the bulk of it
then
is furniture for sure.
So this really brings up the I think there's a win-win situation here. And you know me, that's what I'm about. And the win-win is for the makers to come back and put 2 million items on the store. If they could just sell the frickin' things. And the most immediate growing audience, I feel, is your white label grid customers. So how we get our maker products in front of them through this new tagging system that Adam is discussing would be brilliant, I feel. And
Yeah.
I remember sorting at the moment, this shop, now I didn't know there were 1 million items in there. I've tried to look for stuff there. And
It's something like 3 million, I think.
yeah, so
in the store.
being able
Yeah,
to sort
Not quite
on
that high, but yeah, it's a lot.
tags would help a lot. Professional attire, I don't know.
Taking your point, well made, is that there is so much stuff now that surfacing the sheer quantity of items has become an issue that needs additional addressing. We've added some additional
There's
ways to
actually
sort
also a
search,
bunch of stuff that, there's a bunch of stuff we haven't shown yet that I've been saying is in the viewer for a while now. As it has been in the viewer for about 9 months. Is that we've got the ability to create. How we've got the featured page on the front page.
right?
It sort of shows off a rotating list that Hannah sort of updates every every week or so. That rotating list, we can actually create those kinds of things inline inside the other categories now. So we can actually begin to surface a lot more of the items that we think are quite cool and new, innovative and whatever. And at some point down the road, after we've played around with it a little bit ourselves, we are going to also let creators create their own sort of item groupings and things or in certain categories.
No, I think that's great. I just want to point out again, I feel there is a time urgency here. You are already, I feel, from the evidence, I saw Rowan's post the other day about Deutsches Bank. I don't know what Deutsches Bank likes to buy for clothing, but I'm pretty sure that it would be professional attire and professional casual.
You are correct.
And as a professional casual,
very strict dress code.
as a professional casual maker,
Yeah.
let me just finish and I promise I'll shut up. That's what Mimi always, that's the deal I make with Mimi, in case you guys didn't know that.
You never shut up, Sight. You talk the entire time. What are you talking about?
I would want to target, say, my God, I hope Deutsche Bank buys my Euro fashion latest whatever. And I want that in front of them in the next 3 months because I know they're doing stuff there. And this other nice main grid stuff is great, but there's no target sellable audience that's grown yet. It'll grow down the road, but you have a white label audience now. So that's why I'm so curious and feeling there's a time urgency here. And you will get the makers back in droves, I predict. Looks at Galen, looks at Foxy, looks at others who already do that kind of commerce in other virtual world economies. If they know there's people they can be selling to right now without the main grid yet having the big green button pushed. And I formally shut up and turn the mic over.
Yeah, if I could follow up with that, I completely agree. I would like, it would be nice to be to be able to visually see who needs what. Like he said, I don't know what the heck name he just said, but that person, is maybe looking for professional attire for his whiteboard, and I would like to know if I could, I would like to be told that this is what they need so I could therefore go and do what they need. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, I completely take what you're saying there is, access to the markets outside of the main grid. We are in an ongoing basis adding more and more items to those tags to make them available on those grids under those specific fashion criterias. I don't know how Adam, do we have do we know where we are in terms of re-tagging the backlog of items, and the new items being uploaded going forward are automatically tagged if appropriate, it sounds like?
Yeah, because the clothing library is a lot less. I think that stuff actually has all been tagged, all the existing stuff.
Is it worth, for example, during the review process, is making it part of the review process is for creators to say something like, I'm aiming for this to be accepted into the business casual tag, and then the review team, if they decide it's not appropriate, can reject it on those grounds and say, this is why it didn't qualify for that tag, if you want to change it and resubmit it or remove that requirement.
That's probably not a bad process. We would have to get some updates to Curator to get it done, but yeah, I think that we should probably consider doing that. Really going to come down to Jeff. That's really going to be the thing. It's going to be because Jeff is
in very high demand right now.
Jeff is in very high demand right now.
We need a couple more Jeffs, is what we're saying.
We got Howard now. Howard is our second Howard. Jeff, but there's another Jeff that's due to be hired at some point the next month.
Jeff is now our code word for web developer.
Right.
Yes, Jeff is our lead web developer. We have quite a few people sort of sitting in that role. We have a lot of new staff. I don't know if anyone's been following the issue tracker, but there is always new names there now. Like this new Sven guy. He joined us I think last week and he's already sort of filled off like 20 bugs. So I'm quite happy with that. We've got quite a few people, and there's still more to go. I think Alan's got to hire another 12 people this month. I don't know decide.
Wow.
to do
Yeah. Okay.
that.
All right. So yeah, that's once we have some web developer capacity there, they're working on some very urgent tasks right now. Then I think it could very easily make sense to insert that as a potential review criteria that creators can say, I specifically am, submitting this for a specific tag criteria.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's probably also worth showing on Curator what tags we've hit.
Sure. Yeah.
Really, the one for most of the white label grids is that a few of them set the poly count a bit lower than the main grid. So you really want to be making sure you've got the second LOD, the medium LOD, properly covered, maybe with a little bit more room to spare, like maybe target somewhere around half to 3/4 the normal limits for that LOD. That's one that does get constrained a lot, and the other one is that business casual. That's the one that's everyone seems to be using.
We have a few
looking at
people
it,
who
it's
go
probably
like
75% of the white labels.
Yeah, we have a few people who go like beachwear or something like that, but most of them, these are like professional organizations and companies, and they want the business casual approach. So that's definitely the big one.
Yeah.
If I could just touch back quickly, I saw a question that I missed earlier in the very beginning was we were talking about the editor packs, and I was telling everybody that the 2017 editor pack will still continue to work and upload, but won't be having additional new content added to it. And somebody was asking, I think it was Kay, was asking, what you're saying is that content made in 2017 will still continue to work in 2018 viewers. That is correct. I don't think we have any immediate plans to get rid of the 2017 editor pack, just the 2017 viewer.
Correct. Yeah, the 2017 editor pack still works. In fact, if we go all the way back to the 5.2 editor pack that we launched,
it still works. Yeah,
it still works.
But
So-
it's
and that's
just that
not
we're
gonna
no
change.
longer adding any new features to that after this point. Like if we add new components, things like that, then you will only find those in the 2018 editor pack going forward. But anything that's in the 2017 editor pack now will continue to be in there and continue to work.
Yeah, and the reason that's the case. Oh, I was going to say the reason why we've dropped that old support is that we've now started using Unity's Burst compiler a lot. So our editor packs actually require it.
Massive performance increases.
If I switch to the 2018 editor pack, will I be able to import my 2017 and earlier stuff and then
Yes.
transmogrify it, and then I can upload it and use the new features?
Yes.
Yeah,
In fact, all you
that's
need
correct.
to do is I generally
Make a
recommend
backup
making a
first.
backup. Yep. Always make a backup first, and then all you would have to do then is your 2017 project. Just open it in 2018, and it will automatically convert all of your entire project to 2018. You can't go back after that point. You can't go back to 2017. But that's why we suggest making a backup. But once you open it in 2018, it will convert it, and then just import the 2018 editor pack. Once it's done converting your project, and you're good to go. Everything should work exactly the same as it does in 2017. You can just press upload; it'll go straight up. There should be no concerns there. Yeah, and there's at this point there's no reason really to stick with 2017. Galen's noting that she's migrated a lot of 2017 projects to 2018, and there's essentially no reason to stick with 2017 at this point. I know some people dislike the way 2018 handles prefabs, and that's completely valid. It is a little bit strange, but if you play around with it and get used to it, it actually brings a lot of really cool features with it, like the ability to nest prefabs together, which can greatly simplify workflows, especially variants of items.
I like those simplifies.
Did I say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It greatly simplifies, not simplifies, the a lot of things, like the greedy tables, for example. They all have the same user interface and the same scripts behind them, but the tables look different. And in 2017, those have to be completely separate prefabs. And so any change I make to one, I have to go and copy the changes of the user interface over to the others in 2017, which is a huge time hassle, and I have to make sure I didn't miss anything. Whereas in 2018, the UI could be its own prefab, and that prefab is shared across all the tables. And so updating the prefab, that UI prefab automatically updates all the parent prefabs that contain it as well. So it's actually it actually can be a really great feature, and I highly encourage people to upgrade.
Galen is giving some tips, Josh, about moving between the 2017 to 2018. Oh.
Yeah,
Maybe-
it sounds like there's some issues with terrains. Terrains in Unity can be a little bit temperamental. Alan,
Yeah.
Adam can probably speak to that more than I can. We've had to make some special changes to 2018 for handling
boy.
terrain. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, I find that if you have a region, especially if you've got one in the shop and you're really worried about it breaking, export the entire scene, untick everything Sciencebase related, go ahead and do the export, then import it into a new 2018 project, and then import the latest Sciencebase space pack, and then it will work.
Yeah, that's a good way to go.
Yeah, because it will take everything from your project that it needs. Just make sure you allow everything except the Sciencebase related, the space pack. Untick that,
Yeah, space pack and plugins, you can get rid of those before you upgrade. And then the new editor pack will put them back in. It never hurts to delete those folders and then re-import them. There should be nothing in there that's not immediately expendable and replaceable with a re-import. There's a question about 2019 avatars. Are we planning on, Adam, are we planning on another avatar complexity upgrade in the near future?
It's not a complexity upgrade, actually. I mean, there's some minor stuff there, but no, the big one there is the proportion changes. Now, I got waylaid a bit on that one at the start of the year because it ended up being a bit of a nightmare project, actually. It turned out that doing some of the refitting inside the editor pack to get that. So I actually need to sit down and sit with it for probably about a month. Yes, but could be up to a month.
Well, you're not doing anything else, so I don't know what's holding you
Yeah,
up.
I'm not doing anything else. No, I think the very soonest I'm going to get a chance to actually do that is it's not going to be until the start of next year. And I apologize for that, but that's just sort of the way things are cranking out at this particular point in time. I do have some cool stuff that we'll be launching well before then. I'm just trying to account for the fact that one, I am away next week. That is I'm taking a week off for the first time in a while. But
Congratulations.
thank you. Yes, I'm avoiding loading up too much work during December because I know that between holidays and all the rest of the December fun, I don't want to schedule any critical projects, and we are now approaching that point in time.
Yeah, that's oh god, I don't even want to think about Christmas right now. It's I can't believe we're already at Christmas. And that
Oh, I know. This year has been. It's not been a great year, but it certainly has gone by.
Yeah.
Alicia, the answer, yes, we do have that support. It's on the tracker. There's some details about it. And at some point, some of our new docs people will actually doc how it works.
Yeah, we had a couple questions about the Halloween decorations in the Welcome Center. I believe you said the 25th was the plan.
Yes, I said that I'll do it by the 25th, which means I'm actually going to be spending Saturday decorating the Welcome Center. But we should be.
It's coming, we promise. Sorry, I was just going to address a question from Foxby in the chat here about tags on items. Will white label folks see Sciencebase mainstream shops? They don't see shops in their entirety. They see specific items if they've chosen to that. They can actually choose to say, yeah, I want to see everything the main grid does, and that's entirely an option they can make. But if they choose to filter it, then they may see portions of a given shop if some of those items have made the tag.
Right, okay, thank you.
And Alicia is asking about dynamic bones. Adam, I believe you were working on that at some point over the last couple months.
Yeah, so we added a Springbone component. I do really want to get the Springbone component to the point where you guys are happy with the Springbone component, because one, that means you're not having to make a purchase on the asset store in order to do what really should be a built-in feature, and two, it's going to give us a lot more control over exactly how it works under the hood.
Yeah, it's one of
there's
those
probably
things
more
where
work to be done there, but that will certainly help. And yes, it's definitely better than using cloth physics for a lot of things. Performance is a ton better. The heavier cloth stuff can really sort of begin to crunch on.
It's
the,
one of those
the
things where
CPU.
you do kind of wonder, like, why doesn't this just come with Unity out of the box? But you know, I guess not everything
Yeah.
can.
So the spring bone component we've got does behave very similar to the dynamic bone component, but there is probably quite a bit of work we need to do to polish it up to the level that we're happy with. So I am also open to tickets on the issue tracker saying I want this in the spring bone component. If that's the case, then I'm happy to talk through about that.
Yeah. And just briefly speaking of components, just to touch on, now that we have the nightly editor pack back into working order, it was kind of that we had to do a big overhaul there for a while. So there was a string of releases that kind of worked and kind of didn't, but the ones that's available now should be working, and that means that the new components that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago are now also available to play with. When paired with a recent viewer as well. The one that's currently on preview should be fine. So that means the state machines in there, the scripting events components in there. There's been some additional Lua API stuff added, like the ability to change UI colors through Lua, like button colors and drop down colors and things like that, which wasn't previously possible. So there is some new stuff available now in the editor pack now that it works. We're hoping to add some more stuff over there. I'm personally interested in speccing out and building some kind of non-script required generic networking component that can be attached to things and let you trigger network events to happen without having to really get into the scripting meat on that. So there's some stuff. I'm personally interested in adding some additional components that enable people to do more creative, more interactive things without having to necessarily hire a scripter to do it. So I'm kind of rolling that around in my head. The state machine was kind of the first part of that.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when I first joined in 2018, there was rumors going around about in-game development. Like if I wanted to make a wall, I could do in-game structure. Almost like not Science Base, Second Life, you know.
Sure.
Is that ever?
Well, just a couple of things about that. One is even Second Life doesn't do most item creation in their viewer anymore. Most, mesh items are typically created outside in 3ds Max or Maya or Blender or something like that. Yeah, you can throw some prims around still, but even in Second Life, that's not the standard workflow anymore. However, we do have plans to do some actual mesh creation tools in the viewer. Adam has a couple that he's been looking at.
Three mesh creation tools that are sort of sitting at about 80% done each, and have been in there for a while now. That at some point I'm going to come back and finish. Yes, we've got a couple of them. There's some stuff you can use, like Archimatics. We've got support for that, which can do some really cool stuff. In fact, I don't know if I can bring one out. Hold on.
Yeah, possibly. And just while you're working on that, Zulaine was asking about C# sandboxing, which is, I believe, something we have on our current roadmap. But it's I believe you have a plan, but the work hasn't been done on that yet.
Yes, no, we've actually been exploring all the various sandboxing runtimes. Fun fact, most of them don't work.
That's the whole reason we have Lua in the first place, is because C#, sandboxing C# is actually very difficult.
Yeah, so our holy grail was to rip out the Chromium sandbox, because, Chromium used everywhere, works fantastic. On Windows, it does. The Chromium sandbox on Windows is rock solid. You cannot break out of it. That is not true for Mac. Unfortunately, the Chromium sandbox on Mac, it will not allow you to delete files, and it gives you a fair amount of protection from permanent damage to your machine, but it's got zero protection against stuff like consuming 100 gigabytes of RAM in a single allocation. It's got no resource limits, and a script can still hammer your CPU and stuff. And when we do sandboxing, that stuff's really important because that's just as likely to happen, if not more likely, because you're likely to do it by accident. As
Right.
So we're not particularly happy with the Chromium sandbox because it doesn't work well on Macs, and I feel like the Linux answer was even worse. But that would be a question for Blake, who's doing most of the investigation in there. So we've taken a step back on the scripting. The current approach that we're taking on that one is to integrate a WebAssembly runtime. And I realize that sounds not like C#, but the WebAssembly runtimes we've found actually do have the performance sandboxing. They do have the security aspects that we want, and they do enforce all the resource limits we want them to enforce. So we're going down that route. That does still enable C#. What we'll be doing is we'll be using the .NET Core runtimes. One called what is it? It's like Core CLR or something like that.
Sure.
That is actually it. And that
So-
lets you compile .NET
Okay, great.
DLLs.
So,
and
was
byte
that
codes.
is that going to let people just like take a component off the Unity Asset Store and upload it as is? Or
No. That's still going to be. They're still going to have to wrap around our API and not theirs. And frankly, I don't see that changing for a while. Not least of which because we've got to add all our custom bits and pieces in it, and I can't necessarily trust all of Unity's API either. There's
Sure.
chunks of Unity's API that's actually still quite dangerous. Guys access.
yeah, makes sense.
So it still will be roughly the same API we have today. We can probably go back and wrap some more components if there's stuff that people particularly want to see. But the bulk of that will really be focused on letting you use the language features that you want to affect them. And the cool thing about that particular approach is that we can add more language. Initially, we'll be using our servers to handle the compilation. So inside the client, you'll edit a script, upload to our servers. Our servers will compile it down to the WSAM, sign it, and then bring it back to the client for execution. We'll keep that flow for a while because we don't really want to allow completely untrusted bytecode instructions and things, WSM instructions on the runtime. We really want to control the compiler chain there just as another layer of defense. But the benefit there is that we can add new language. So once we're done C#, maybe we'll turn JavaScript, and
Yeah, makes sense.
that's certainly possible.
So, a question from Foxby again about VR, which has been near and dear to our hearts the last couple of days. Specifically about compatibility with Quest. So there's two things there. We have
I broke everything.
Yeah, we broke everything. We have both a Quest 1 and a Quest 2 for testing, but so the Quest can run in two modes. One is untethered, where it's just not connected to your PC, which means that the Sciencebase would have to be installed directly inside the Quest itself, which is basically a smartphone stuck to your face. It runs Android. There's some special SDKs that have to be set up for that. We're in the process of doing the preliminary work to make that possible. But the other mode that the Quest can run in is with link mode, where you actually connect a USB cable from into your computer.
Pixie's in right now, apparently. So that's cool to hear.
Yeah, so that actually works fine. When it's plugged to your computer, it actually just emulates itself as an Oculus Rift, and so anything you can do with a tethered headset like a Rift or Rift S, you can also do with a tethered Quest. We did have an issue in some recent viewers, the ones we're working on right now, where Unity changed up how the Oculus SDK works, and so we had to do some upgrades. Adam has been working on that actually over the last couple of days. I believe we're nearly ready to deploy that, but there's a couple.
As I said, I broke everything.
Yeah, to support VR in Sciencebase, there's actually like 4 layers of software libraries that all have to work together. And one of those right now is one of them is a real pain in the rear end. A couple, most of them are like, yeah, okay, we just put that in there and it works and it's fine. But one of them is a real hassle, and that one right now is very cranky that we upgraded everything alongside of it. So there's a few bugs to work out there. But as far as like what the support is or will be, we've had VR support for a long time. With the tethered headset, something that's connected to your computer. Yes, you can put it on. You get a first-person perspective from your avatar. You can wander around. You can teleport. Your arms move. Your legs move too. If you have additional trackers on your legs, that's all supported. It is a complete VR experience. However, that being said, the performance that you get out of it not only depends on how good your computer is, but also what region you've gone to. Some regions are really, really not optimized for VR, and so even a really powerful computer is going to struggle with some place like the Welcome Center, for example, just because there's so much going on there, and your frame rate might be bad, which might make you sick. But other regions that are actually designed for VR, they're a perfectly great experience.
Is there like a place on the wiki forums on how to set up your VR to use Sciencebase?
It's pretty straightforward. Like if you've got an Oculus, then you start up Oculus's software, which is a whole subject on its own. But as long as Oculus's software is working and Oculus's software can see your headset and it works fine there, then you start up Sciencebase, and there's just a button on the login screen where you can say enable VR. You can go into settings and it lets you pick between OpenVR, which is Steam VR, or Oculus's, and you can use it through either one. I think you can use Oculus through Steam as well, but it's kind of adding an extra middle layer for no reason.
Yeah, it's funny. You actually get some features work better under OpenVR, and some features work better under Oculus, and it comes down to the SDKs themselves.
There's not a lot of standardization still in the VR industry, so everything's a little bit different depending on how you bring it in. But anything theoretically anything that's supported by Steam VR or anything that's supported by Oculus, his own software, should connect, should work. The only caveat I would say to that is there's some support for a variety of things like Kinect, additional trackers like the Vive trackers you can strap to your legs and hips and stuff like that. And if you don't have those, sometimes they can cause problems. So I would just say if you log in and your avatar's like stuck in a T pose or something, try turning off devices that you don't actually have connected to your computer in the Sciencebase settings, and that usually brings it right in.
Right. I only asked because me and Dixie were trying to work on getting the arm movements for her Quest, and we couldn't figure it out. So that's the only reason why I was wondering if there was
arm movements or hand tracking.
Arm, like just moving up, down, left, right. You know, she just has the normal animation of the default avatar.
Something's not set up right for her computer, then that should work. I've personally got a Vive, a Rift S, and a Quest 1 sitting on my desk, and I've spent quite a lot of time in Sciencebase in the Rift and the Vive especially, and it should work perfectly fine. Your avatar's hands track the motion controllers that you have in your hands. So, if you are holding the controllers and you move your arm around, you should see your arm waving around in front of you in Sciencebase as well. If it's not, then it may be that issue I mentioned where you need to go into the settings and turn off like the Vive trackers and the Leap Motion and other devices you don't actually have, disable those, and then see if that helps.
All right, okay. Thank you for all that information. It really helped.
I'm just scrolling back here to see if I've missed any other questions, but feel free to throw them at us. I have to hard leave in about 10 minutes because I have a call immediately after this one, but I don't know what Adam's schedule looks like.
Sleep.
Yeah. It's quite late for Adam, so we'll probably...
No, it's not sleep. I've actually got to finish something up, so I'm going to be up for a while.
Okay.
The other question I see there is about using other Unity assets in Sciencebase and what the status of whitelisting is. So you probably noticed that whitelisting slowed down quite a lot 18 months ago. And the reason for that is that every asset we whitelist, we end up carrying forward as a support burden. And unlike components we build ourselves, whitelisted assets tend to be really fragile. So we end up sort of having to rebuild them over and over and over again.
Case in point is the current release of Aquis is broken. Aquis removed their previous version from the store and replaced it with one called Aquis 2020. So the old one still works, but the new one has to be reintegrated. And the fun part of that is the old one's not available in the store anywhere, so we can't actually just tell people to go get the right version because the right version is not available anymore. If you've already previously purchased it, it stays in your purchase history and you can access it there. But if you don't have it already, you're stuck with Aquis 2020. and that doesn't work with ScienceBase anymore. So that is an
That's basically
example of
the-
what Adam's talking about here.
That's the crux of the problem, is that we basically take on the support burden, and the support burden I think is unsustainable if we want to whitelist lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. We'll keep supporting the stuff we've got on the list, but the reality is if there is things that you want that you really badly want to see, that's maybe a question for a feature for us to add. We've got things like sky editing now that's is powered by some third-party assets, but we've integrated it in such a way that we can swap out the back end at any time for something else and make it work. So if there is particular assets, I mean, water is probably number one on the list. I mean, we currently have about 5 different water systems we have to support.
Yeah.
And that's unsustainable. So there's probably a very good case to be made that we should just make our own damn water system that's as good as everyone else's, but is carry forward more easily.
Even if that means not making it from scratch, but licensing the source to a particular version and then making that the standard, and we have the source and we're working on it, something like that. But it may be easier just to have our art team put one together and just say, this is science-based water.
Yeah, that's probably the way to go. I mean, God knows I've written enough watershade. I actually have been working on another personal region off and on for the last couple of months, and water features very heavily in there, and I've got my own little water shader in there that's actually quite nice. So maybe at some point I will rip that one out and productize it a bit.
Yeah, it would be nice, especially if it could have all the same features. Like everybody loves Aquos because you get the underwater lens effects, you get splash sounds, you get shore foam, things like that. It's not just the water shader by itself. So if we had a fully featured sort of water experience, then yeah, it would be nice if we could just say, oh, never mind that, go use this one. It's already in the editor pack. Yeah, Caustics is another one that supports, that's what.
I have a nice Caustics shader in the resources channel just for reference. If you want to use it,
great.
Works really well.
Yeah, I know a lot of them use like projectors as part of the water for Caustics. Yeah, underwater effects are nice.
Someone else's mic is on.
Yeah, somebody else is like shuffling papers or something.
That has got to be on my to-do list for the next couple of weeks, or not. Maybe not mine. Maybe I'll give it to one of the new guys. We really need a way to see whose mic is on inside a panel without actually having to go hunt for the green dots above people's heads.
Yes. We need new indicators or something.
It could just go.
Yeah.
I think we talked about just putting it in the friends panel, just having little lights next to the names of people who
That's
had.
probably a really quick and easy way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just one more window just crowding your screen. Do you really want that?
You can make a user list in the side of the screen, and then make a kick out button. So when somebody uses a microphone, then you just kick it out, and then they know.
What you could do is you could do similar to what Discord does, as the icon pops up in the left-hand corner of your screen when somebody talks.
Yeah, that could be a way to go.
Yeah, or we could just put a
How
light
it would
over
look when there's a
everybody's
lot
head,
of people talking. So, yeah.
I mean, we got a particle over people's head, but maybe if there was a light that just indicated their mic was on, even if they weren't talking, maybe that's something we do just over their username or whatever.
I think some of the issue is the green particles don't always show up because they're kind of light. They kind of need a black background or some shaded background when they're in a light region type thing.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Is
it's not so visible
in bright areas.
Yeah.
But here's one for you, Adam. How close are we to a 2B release?
Why does everyone keep asking me this question?
Hey, I'm just the messenger here. Alicia's the one asking the question.
I managed to avoid answering this question at our management meeting earlier today, and I was so happy because I managed to go a whole week without someone asking me that. So thank you. I think that at this point we just need to get to the point where there's no major damn bug showing up at the last minute that kills it all. Last week it's been the issue with people from the Netherlands and Dutch language settings having issues with sending teleports and things. That one's now fixed. We've got a new bug with the avatar colliders being all sorts of fun sizes, which I need to get Yvonne to properly fix this time, because I think I fixed about 4 times from his work. then I think that's probably it, unless someone else brings a major critical bug to us in the issue tracker that we sort of have to stop and fix. That's what's been resetting it, has been that there's always been something found.
So they're basically got potentially one major issue that needs to be sorted out this week, and then that's all we know of right now, it sounds like.
Yes.
Not saying something new won't present itself tomorrow, but as of right now, it sounds like we have one blocking issue.
Yeah. Right now, this very second, there's only one blocking issue, and that's one we discovered today. So hopefully there's not too many more.
And yes, Mimi, when 2B comes out, it will be a forced update. There will no longer be support for the 2017 viewer. Just to reiterate, that doesn't mean we're dropping support for the 2017 editor, but there will be no longer a 2017 viewer.
Yeah. And I will be very glad to have that, because I get to merge my networking code in as soon as we've done that. And I've been sitting there working on that for quite some time now, and I'm very happy to see it.
Yes. And it also means we can dump the 2017 processors.
We can dump a whole bunch of things, actually. Yes, there'll be a small celebration when we get those.
2017 build server, the 2017 processors, the 2017 viewer. It's
just in time for the 2021.
Right? Yeah.
That will probably be the next step too.
Yeah. Just quickly touching on Zulane's question here, just before we have to wrap up, or at least I have to wrap up. Vehicles having desync issues. That's actually part of something that Adam was just touching on just now. Was there's an entirely new networking layer that's coming that performance-wise is like 100 times better than the one we're using right now, something like that.
Something ridiculous, yeah. Everything about the new networking stack is better than the old one by orders of magnitude, because it has been really, really, really hand optimized. I have never written any more efficient and optimized code in my life. It is hand tuned down to the tiniest bit because it has to handle a absolute ton of traffic. We've got capacity to put 500 avatars in a scene. That's the base that we're testing to. In theory, I think we're actually going to get up to about 1,700.
Yeah. Did I hear you say the other day that you made it garbage-less? Is that right?
Sorry?
Did I hear you say the other day that you made it garbage-less, or am I imagining?
Oh, yes, it's got 0 memory allocations. It runs entirely without memory alloc, which is a bit of an achievement to do inside a managed language, but I have, and it is fast. It is ridiculously fast.
Yeah. So bringing that back around, that Zulane, once that new networking stack is entered, you're going to see massive improvements around vehicles and avatars moving around within a scene and staying up to date with each other. One of the things that we want to revisit when that comes out is the frequency of synchronizing those things across the networks, for example. So, vehicle updates will be faster, avatar updates will be faster, things like that. We'll need to retune all of that around a networking stack that can handle just an incredible increase in the amount of traffic and latency goes down. Everything improves.
All of my performance benefits get eaten up by these improvements. But
it's one of those things where obviously we're not going to increase vehicle updates 100-fold, and we do have tuning in place for those where the more sort of vehicles are in a region, then those updates will throttle back on a per vehicle basis. But it should be a noticeable overall improvement in any regard. Like, it'll be better than it is now, even in its worst case.
Yeah, it generally just will run better across the board, and I'm really looking forward to pushing that one out, because it's been a ton of work getting it to this point. We've actually been hiring testing companies to provide us with 500 people, which is actually a real challenge. You would not be surprised to hear that getting 500 people on demand to download our test stuff and run it, it's like herding cats. We've done 3 of these tests so far. We've got our next one coming up. Maybe it'll happen during my week off next week. Maybe it'll happen the week after. But I actually wouldn't mind inviting the community along to this one. It may all blow up in our face. The last 2 have. But this third one we're hopefully looking pretty for
It's blowing up
so many
slightly less
avatars
each
coming in.
time. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed that, Joshua.
Oh, I said it's blowing up slightly less each time.
Yes, blowing up slightly less each time. Although last time we did it good, we actually nuked the primary database server, which was not intentional. So there was about 20 minutes Friday, about 3 weeks ago, where stuff was just not behaving. That was because of the test. So I do apologize for that. We did not anticipate any of that stuff being hit so hard, but we've learned our lessons there, and we're souping up the hardware ahead of the next test. So finally get to catch what actually caused that particular problem.
Yeah. I have to go because I have a meeting starting just now. So I don't know if Adam's planning to stick around for some after hours stuff, but I have to run. So I will see everybody later, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys.
As well.
Thanks, Josh.
You and running.
Thank
I
you.
don't know, but someone keeps snoring in the mic.
All right, I'm going to disappear too. It's nice seeing you all. I could probably try and make it. Actually, no. Next week I'm on holiday. Week after next, I'll try and pop in again, and hopefully we can get the announcements for when the next load test is. Well, because if you guys want to come in and check it out, it's quite something. If you got one of the new viewers, like the 2B82 or one of the ones that's been in the preview channel, there is actually a region on live right now called Silly Number of People. And if you load that one up, you can click a red cube, and every time you click the red cube, 50 avatars will load. And that's actually sort of one of our stress tests for figuring out sort of how to handle lots and lots and lots of users, because we don't want to have 700 avatars in the scene, but you never see anyone because avatars are spent the whole time loading. Yeah. And just for reference, this is also just a today notice for the next couple of hours. I know we've got some problems with Amazon, who are hosting our content delivery network. They've been screwing over some of our had to switch Amazon's CDN off, and we're back to the primary CDN. So things might be a little bit slower for the next sort of 8 hours or so. We tried to give a shot by then. Yeah, we'll try and get into Discord announced when we want the testers coming through. We've got 500, and I don't know how much capacity we've got more than that I want to do in this test. So there might be very limited attendance for outsiders, but I think we'll probably have slots.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. See you all in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, Adam, thanks for coming along.
Thank you, Adam.
Nice vacation.
Thanks, Adam.
And I think that just about concludes Office Hours for this week. Thanks, everyone, for coming. If we don't see you before, we'll see you next week at Community Hours. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, just ending the stream, so bye, everyone.